Okay, so we're going live. I'm just waiting for notification, Brother Rudy. And thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
And, yes, sir, no problem. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a special edition of Off the Record, the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a great guest, Brother Rudy Muhammad. First of all, I want to give you the greetings of Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent, excellent. We spoke on a previous podcast, but we didn't get to go into detail as far as the time and what must be done now that we're living in. So when I spoke with you offline, I said, well, could you come back so we can discuss specifically the Most Honorable Farrakhan's last two Savior's Days and him saying that this may be his last Savior's Day for some time. First of all, what is the crucifixion of Jesus, Brother Rudy?
First thing I'd like to do is to apologize for my last podcast or interview that didn't start in the name of Allah.
Yes, sir.
So in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, and bear witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is Messenger. Okay. So what's your question again, please?
Yes, sir. Walaikum salam. Me and my sister Miriam says greetings. My next, what is the crucifixion of Jesus?
Well, it's the last part of his ministry, physical ministry, where he is crucified and he's taken the stages of his crucifixion. So he's in the Garden of Gethsemane. He's taken by the Roman soldiers. He's being trial, a kangaroo court, and as a result, there's a lot of details in between. And as a result, he's on the cross. He's being crucified. That's from a historical perspective.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And how does that correlate to now?
Well, we have a man in our midst today that fits that. Matter of fact, 75% of what we read of scripture is prophecy dealing with a future man.
Yes, sir.
And from my humble opinion, it is the Honorable Min Farrakhan, because he represents the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the Messiah. As a result, he is the Messiah now, as he explained in Savior's Day.
Yes, sir.
If you look at his work, 40 years of his work, just don't take my opinion, look for yourself. If you look at his work, what I would do is I would look at every Savior's Day from 81 to now, and you will see the progression of his growth.
Yes,
and
sir.
If you look at his teaching, he's been consistent. It's been the same teaching, but just the same issue, just current events, and also he's involving in this mission too as well.
Yes, sir.
He's involved in them because of the word that he's teaching and all that he's experienced as a result of the teachings. So all the believers that you have interviewed, I consider all of us disciples of his. Basically, he's transformed human life.
Yes, sir.
That's what he's done. Every believer that you have interviewed and every believer that's out there, they would testify that they have been changed by his word. And also, the more that we follow his word, the more change that we have. So each of us are disciples of his. So the disciples back then are really talking about us right now. So we all have a connection to him, and we have a connection to establishing the word that he represents.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. And thank you, Sister Miriam, for watching. Peace, Sister Naima. Walaikum salam, shukran to you as well, Brother Christopher Muhammad, and thanking you for these interviews. And thank you, Brother Rudy, for your testimony that you're about to give, sir. So when did you realize that the Most Honorable Min Farrakhan was more than a spiritual leader or an activist? There was divine. There was a divinity in him.
I would say 17 years old. I did a lot of studying on the teachings through the minister's lectures and also Minister Jabril's writings and also the study guides. One time I was in my bedroom and I was reading Study Guide 18. That's really crystallized for me. And also I was listening to Savior's Day 81 and also looking at his work. And I was in the church for a little while too. So I kind of made the connections together. And based on what I saw and what I read and what I studied my experiences, I put one and two together. There was no clue at all. It was a connection. I saw him as the Jesus.
Praise be to Allah. Now, when the Most Honorable Min Farrakhan said on Savior's Day Part 2, like the last 5 minutes, I watched it probably 300 times, like over and over, just the last 5 minutes, so I'm looking at him, I'm hearing him saying that they're going to arrest him. You know what I'm saying? This is going to happen. This is an actual. This wasn't a metaphor, analogy, a simile. It wasn't allegorical. He's saying they're going to arrest him, and this may be his last Savior's Day for some time, but he will be back. When you hear that, Brother Rudy, for people who don't know, you work with him very close in Phoenix, Arizona for months at a time. When you hear him say that, what does it do to you to hear him say that?
It's not a surprise at all.
Mm.
He's been teaching for a long time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Look at his work. Prove me wrong. Look at his work.
Yes, sir.
And look at the transformation of the lives that he has done. And J. Who was looking for the Messiah.
Yes, sir.
That when United Black people, if you look at the COINTELPRO and look at the work of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, it fits. He is the Messiah.
Yes, sir.
He is the Messiah in our midst.
Okay. My next question is, when you say that to people who aren't necessarily registered or who are believers, how is their response, and how to explain that to them in this time where we can't necessarily explain it in a deep way, where you got to just like, hey, what's on this Farrakhan, the Messiah? He's the Jesus in our midst. How do you, when you say that to people, how is their response, and how do you explain that to people?
And the scripture says, show me a fan with faith, show me works, because faith without works is dead. His works,
yes, sir.
His works testify of him. Like he said in that same Savior's Day address, he also said, if he was to say that 40 years ago, maybe not. 40 years of his service, absent of his father or more. Look at his work. I would tell the person, look at we have technology now. Look at YouTube, look at his work. Don't look at from a soundbite from a media, look at his works for yourself. Examine it with a critical eye, but with an eye that's not biased at all. And look within your own heart. And look at those of us who he has transformed their lives to, and look where we came from and look where we're at right now. Every believer has been handpicked to serve him. We are constitutionally fit. Every believer you interviewed, if you would look back at their tapes, they tell you from where they was to where they now are as a result of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's work.
Yes, sir.
And you see there's a transformation. Some of us should have been dead 10 times over. There are situations where a lot of brothers and sisters could have been in a whole different situation. But that if you look at our lives, those of us who are in the teachings, who follow it, it's a transformation.
Wow.
Transformation. And when I think of him, I think of love. And I think of his heart, because he has a heart of God.
Praise be to God.
Being in Phoenix and looking at my own development, all of us coming up, we all had low self-esteem. We don't have to see a lot of value within ourselves.
Yes, sir.
But being around him is being trained on a whole different level. And if I would have to capsulize my work with him, it would be accept your own and be yourself. Because looking at him and seeing him, he's such an example of character. Like they said, he's the same way in private as he is in public.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The same. Nothing the same, man. I consider him my father, my spiritual father.
Yes, sir.
So this particular trip to Phoenix to me was very significant for me. I felt as though I am spiritually closer to him, more of an intimate. He was in good spirits the whole time that he was there. The trip was totally different from the last 12 to 13 years I've been with him. Just the spirit that he had, and just all of us that were there with him will bear witness. I was talking to Mother Farrakhan the other day, and we was talking about the trip. She was saying like we're all long lost friends in this past trip to Phoenix. And of course, he mentioned it a little bit in the Sedona trip as well.
Yes,
matter of fact, I was sitting right across from him when he heard the news about Kobe. So I was there on that trip. I was part of the delegation. I think a lot of that I was part of it. And that's another thing. Usually I would stay back when they would go to Sedona. But this trip, I went right along with them. So that's a blessing. I think a lot for the opportunity and blessing to be with them on that trip. Praise
be to God. Can you expound on the Kobe Bryant news? And once the minister heard it, how was it when he heard the news?
He said it all in Savior's Day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He was very quiet. Exactly point blank, exactly what he described. It was a big hush over the table. I personally, I don't follow basketball. I'm not a big Kobe Bryant fan, but when we found out the news of brother, a big grief came over me to a point when I nearly started crying. So the grief was felt in that table for sure. I don't know, brother. I don't follow basketball at all. But just, it was a shock. And I was looking at the minister. He was just very quiet, very, very quiet, very, very quiet. Like he described the Savior's Day, it says it all. And I was told I was one of those to be blessed to be part of that delegation.
Okay, yes, sir. And when you said that for the last 12 or 13 years, you've been working with Most High Minister Farrakhan up close in Phoenix, Arizona, what made this last trip feel different?
It was the spirit. It was the spirit. It was the spirit. I feel a little closer to him. Every time he would see me, he would call me son. He would call me son. But this trip, I felt as though I was closer to his heart. I felt it. I felt it. I felt it.
Praise be to Allah. Brother Janelle says, ASA God's right. You can tell a tree by the fruit it bears. You can tell a man by his work. Exactly. We're blessed to still be here. All praise be to Allah. Brother Ali, who used to live in New York, now lives in Florida, says, all praise be to Allah. The great brother Rudy, the young E-team, Brother Jabril Muhammad. Now, Brother Rudy, I have a question. When you say you felt something different about this trip, did it feel as if you knew the minister would be leaving, or did it feel like it was an exciting feeling, or was it like an empty feeling, like, oh no, he's gone?
No, I never. You know, I want to read something, if I may.
Yes, sir, of course.
It's from Closing the Gap. It said LaTanya did the introduction, but I want to read a couple of sentences.
Yes, sir.
It says, I must mention this, and it is so relevant to this book, The Closing the Gap, to the work of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. One of the main impediments to truly become one with the leader and teacher's mind is found in attachments. Attachments are actually death, and it's a sign of insecurity. Since a Muslim is one who has been made secure and Allah is sufficient for them, that's what I'm getting. So my point is, we can't get too attached. We have to know him from divine. Of course, we can't get spooky either. But he's a divine man. He's a man, but he's divine.
Yes, sir.
And the Quran talked about lowering your voice in the presence of the messenger of God, and just proper etiquette.
Yes, sir.
Oh, by the way, I talked to your father last week.
Okay, praise be to Allah.
And there's a chapter in his book. You all should get the book. I showed you.
Yes, sir.
It's called The Companion. He dealt with how he let the ministers have his space. And he doesn't bother him because you don't know what's on his mind. I heard he mentioned a time where somebody gave him a note who was about to deliver a major address. And the minister said, why do you give me this when I'm trying to deliver a baby?
Powerful, yes, sir.
So being around him is a blessing, but also, to me, it's kind of, I wouldn't say easy, but first of all, it's not my house.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not my house, so I get clearance on everything. I don't care if it's picking up a piece of paper. I don't bother him at all when he's there. If he wants me, he'll call me if he wants me for something.
Yes, sir.
So I know my place. The brothers on the team, they have their place with him, and I have my place with them. So I stay with my lane.
Yes, sir.
I stay within the speed limit.
Praise be to Allah.
There are times where I feel that he doesn't want to be bothered, and I don't bother him. There were times I was right in front of him with Mother Farrakhan, and I didn't give him no greetings. He'd be studying. I give him no greetings or nothing. So I let him have his space.
Yes, sir.
Because I know who he is as a messenger of Allah, but also as a respect, as a person who is the head of his household.
Yes, sir.
You go to anybody's house, you give them their space. You have proper etiquette when you're in somebody else's house. You don't take privileges.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You don't take within your own self to do things out of whack. You always ask permission. That's the proper thing to do.
Yes, sir.
So it's the same thing. This is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's home. like he said in Savior's Day, he's blessed to be, live there. This house is very valuable to him.
Yes, sir.
So also I see it that way too as well. So I'm just honored and privileged to be a part of his staff and to be working. One thing, Josh, what I realize, he don't need us. He don't need none of us at all. We are privileged to be around him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So why are we around him for? To talk about what we see to others. He don't need us at all. He doesn't need us. We are privileged and handpicked by God to be around him physically. But there are believers out there who are far but yet close.
Could you expound on that?
Being close is not being physically around him. In our last interview, there are believers out there and those who study him who are very close to him.
Yes, sir.
It's the word of God that he represents. It's his spirit. It's the heart. That's being close.
Yes, sir.
But don't get me wrong, I'm blessed to be around him. But there are those who don't see but yet believe. So yes, sir. Just don't get it twisted. This, being around water doesn't make you clean. You gotta get baptized in the water. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it's the word that he represents. It's the spirit of the word, and it's the principles under which he has given us by the word. So that's our success and us treating one another. Brother Josh, you asked me that question about me feeling about him departing.
Yes, sir.
He has to depart for many reasons. Number one, our lack of productivity as believers. But that's okay, because there's things in us that the minister has put in us, and it can't be amplified until he leaves us. Number two, the way we treat one another. You see?
Yes, sir.
Jesus said, love ye one another.
Yes, sir.
Even as I have loved you. So I remember one FY class, he said, the brothers that come in, we are required by knowledge to treat them as if we would treat God. How would you treat God? Every time you look at the black man, you're looking at God. How would you treat God?
Yes, sir.
So we always have to keep that in mind, all of us. All of us. The fact I'm around the minister makes me no better than a brother and sister that's out there in the street.
Yes, sir.
It makes me no better. Allah just allow me to put me in a place to be around him like this, to share this testimony, what I'm doing right now with others. And I welcome that. Anybody want to talk to me about my experience with the minister is not a problem. But that's my take on it.
Okay, powerful. Brother Lewis, Walaikum Salam. My sister, all praises due to Allah. Assalamu alaikum to the Brother Jameric, ex-Laos, Brother Michael, Assalamu alaikum, Walaikum Salam. Okay, my next question for you is for my, I went to school with a lot of Christians, and they will watch the podcast, and I try to explain it to them the best that I can, but if you explain it to them with the minister being who he is, how would you explain that to him?
I would say this. Let's take away him saying what he's saying. Look at the history of Jesus. I would tell him to read the history of Jesus.
Yes, sir.
And then look at the works of the Honorable Min Farrakhan. Faith without works is dead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's our faith. It's our faith. See, and the thing is with the minister's departure, as opposed to Honorable Elijah Muhammad's departure, there was a handful of people that knew about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's departure. We have been forewarned for over 30 years about his departure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we have no excuse. So it's one thing to know that the storm is coming, but it's another thing to see the storm and another thing to be in the storm. So me having the faith that I have, I pray Allah that when that time comes, I'm faithful or more faithful and more strong in belief and faith to help us get through the dark hour. And the main thing, he mentioned Savior's Day. And also I would ask the believers and those who are listening to look at his speech on the Easter Sunday message in 1994.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he deals with his crucifixion. He is born to die for the salvation of our people.
Allahu Akbar.
He even said in that tape, he loved the thought of dying for us. He loved the thought of dying for us. See, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So is ordained. God ordained this crucifixion.
Yes, sir.
People think it's just a murder of a man. No, is a resurrection, is a redemptive. It's redemptive. Undeserved suffering is redemptive. If you look at every religion, the root of it is based on the most tragic part of that prophet's life.
Yes, sir.
The Prophet Muhammad, of course, Jesus.
Yes, sir.
Even the death plot of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, him escaping the death plot and him being physically alive.
Yes, sir.
And the more division experience proves it. That's the root of our own development today.
Allahu Akbar.
So just look at the history of Jesus with being unbiased, and look at the work of the Honorable Min Farrakhan. Just look at his work. You have YouTube now. Look at his development. He has evolved stage after stage after stage after stage. And we're supposed to be growing along with him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's why there's a book called Closing the Gap.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we can't be too attached to him. We could be comfortable, but not too comfortable. But we are looking at a man that's evolving right before our very eyes. He's the personification of the love of God in our midst. We're looking at him in our very eyes. And the scripture says, when can we see the Father? And Jesus said, don't you see the works that I'm doing?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
See, so look at scripture and look at him with a biased side. Just being unbiased is being, with no, just be being unbiased about it. Just look at it.
Yes, sir.
And look at his works. And it's not even over yet. You'll see. The whole world will know who he is. The whole world will know who he is.
Allahu Akbar. Okay, excellent. And thank you all for watching. And thank you, Brother Rudy, for your testimony and your transparency. My next question is, okay, so if he's the Jesus in our midst and we believe that, then there, according to the scriptures, a Judas factor. How do you, if he's going to get arrested, is there going to be what are your thoughts on that, about him being arrested and Judas and things like that?
He's mentioned quite a few times being arrested, and there's some of us be arrested along with him. That Judas factor will come out. Brother, this crucifixion, I'll give the scenario. My son threw up a couple of weeks ago. And when you're throwing up, there are things in your system that have no business in your system that comes out. And after you throw up, your body becomes whole again. So the throw up represents everything will come out. The believers will come out. The hypocrites will come out.
Yes, sir.
The disbelievers will come out. They will show their color. So that's bringing all that out. And the scriptures got to be fulfilled, Brother Josh. It has to happen. So we get selfish when it comes to him. Like he's our personal property.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have to understand scripture at the time, what he represents. And we're divine too as well. Like I said, this trip really brought he told me things about myself that I didn't believe, but it's been said to me all my life that I'm a beautiful person. He said it to me. But when he said it to me, it kind of awakened me a little bit, just a little bit. I've been taught to be a good man all my life, but the way he sat down, it took his time. And so he said, you're a beautiful man. He said, I know you don't see it. He said, you have a beautiful soul. He told me that.
Praise be to Allah. So
it's not just me, but all of us who have been privileged to be a believer in this work. We've been handpicked. Something that Allah picked in our DNA that attracts people and that attracts us to him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For all of us. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't gonna say there's a difference between a registered Muslim and a believer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna be a fool to everybody who accepts the nation and the teachings are a believer. But the Judas factor, that comes out too. Of course, there are agents of the FBI that's in our ranks.
Yes, sir.
Provocateurs is in our ranks.
Yes, sir.
All that will come out and let it happen. Let it happen. We'll get all bent out of shape if we get too attached and not know what to do. So he has given us so much. He's put a lot in us. And at the proper time, they'll come out, those who truly believe. If Muhammad is slain or is killed, will you turn on your heels?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what it said. Yes, sir.
So those who believe Allah is the ever living will be fine.
Allah.
Like he's explained this to us time and time again. about his crucifixion and his betrayal and his ascension and his departure. We've been forewarned for over 30 years. This is nothing new to us. We have to see, the one thing we don't do, Brother Josh, we don't study as believers. But we don't study him. We have to study him. It's his way that's going to get us through.
Yes, sir.
It's his love. All this, the Savior's Day that you've seen, the graduation that you saw, all of this based on one man's faith.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All of this based on one man's faith. That was the best Savior's Day gift ever, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All based on one man's faith. Everything he said he was going to do, he did it.
Wow.
From the Mas Mariam to everything. So Allah's with him.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Thank you. Brother Maurice Muhammad says, Walaikum salam, great presentation. Great presentation for you, sir. Brother Maurice, please check your phone after this interview. I'm reaching out to you very soon, so I would like to interview you as well. My sister Miriam says, teach, and thank you all for continuing to watch. On that note, I want to have a brief intermission for our sponsors of this podcast this week. Designerofcomposer.com, Khaliq's Boutique, which is on Instagram, Supreme Men's Clothing in St. Louis, Missouri, 10835 West Florissant Avenue. The phone number is 314-528-5555. They will all get you ready for your fashion, keep you dripped in great clothing. My brother Rashad's video production street premiere. I want to make sure that he's working on, announce that he has a drone camera and they're going to be working on videos and movies. So I want to constantly support that. Supreme Spring Water. Thank you all, everybody, for drinking water, especially in a time like this. Sister Mary, ABC, I Love Me, and the coloring book is on Amazon. Make sure you all get that. My second book, which is a children's book, Cleopatra, it is on Amazon. Cleopatra with K is on Amazon. And also, last but not least, my father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, Abdul Sharif Muhammad, on abdulsharifmuhammad.com. Thank you all for your support. If you would like to sponsor an episode, J Imagination on Cash App, I'll promote your business on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube as well. Thank you very much. Brother Michael says, thank you very much, Brother Rudy. Beautiful. And thank you, Mimi, for that. Sister Anita says, not to say there are not others, but you are one of 3 who has sincerely in your soul. May Allah protect you. Beautiful, Brother Rudy. She's referring to you.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you.
Thank you very much again, Brother Rudy. But Rudy, I just want to say, I want to be clear. You watched the man of God up close, before distance for many, but up close for 13 years in the privacy of his own home. You've seen him when nobody else is around. You have an intimate relationship with the man that we believe is the Messiah, Jesus in our midst. And you are saying that this last trip felt different than any of the other 12 years that you've been working with him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's the camaraderie of all of us that were there, the connection of all of us that were there. Just the spirit that was there. Matter of fact, myself, Brother Ali, and Brother Duncan, we all worked together. Brother, we did 54 days straight, 12-hour shifts, no breaks. Straight. From the time he's there, from the time he left. My car broke down. I still found a way. I lived 25 minutes away from the palace. And I still found a way. No complaints. Spirit was very high. Then after the 54 days, I had to pack a bag with my wife and go to Detroit. And I still worked those 3 days with Mother Farrakhan. So when you love like that, you don't feel tired.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because the spirit is there. And when you're born, I guess when you're born to do what you're supposed to do, it doesn't affect you as much either, because when you're born to do it, you love to do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm just thankful to Allah for allowing me to. I mean, I'm from New York, man. I'm from New York, and I came all the way to Phoenix, Arizona, the other side of the country.
Yes,
and
sir.
then I'm around him. That's the God. That's the God. That's the God. That's Allah.
Yes,
so
sir.
I thank him for that, and I thank him for allowing the minister to trust me to be around him. See, it's about trust too. You know, so especially in this day and time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All about trust. So I'm thankful to me, and I appreciate the training I received in New York. I give a lot of that too, and also my heart and my spirit. I'm accepting myself now as a good brother.
Praise be to Allah.
I didn't think that of myself before, you know, and of course I'm getting audited by it, but you don't see that much of yourself. When I was born, my mother just turned 16 and my father was 46. So those were two unique circumstances in New York and Harlem. It was rough during that time.
Yes, sir.
So I can imagine what my mother was going through carrying me. And sometimes when you're born like that, you think you're born as a mistake.
Yes,
but God don't make mistakes.
Allahu Akbar. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So some of that baggage is with me, it's still there, you know. But I'm learning with the teachings, and it takes time. All of us going through.
Yes, sir.
Call it the monster.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got to overcome that, you know, because Master Prophet Muhammad came to make a nation of gods.
That's right.
And that's the process we're on right now. So I'm growing, I'm work in progress, you know, so for him to say that about me, it kind of resonated in me, you know, to love myself more, you know. So like I said, accept your own and be yourself. Every believer, and the reason why I'm saying this is every believer is going through the same thing. We all have a connection with him.
Yes,
but too much is given, much is required.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we have a work that we have to do. Allah will punish me if I don't testify of this man to the world when he departs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely punish me. So there's a reason why we're around here. All of us as believers. All the believers you interview, Brother Josh.
Yes, sir.
They all have a connection to him. All of them. They tell you their stories and their connection to him. Brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
And there's the believers that some of them that I knew, I didn't know their past and their background. I was shocked. So I don't want to name names, but all the believers you interviewed from the time they heard the minister's word, from his rebuilding, those that were with him, in every area, Mid-Atlantic, Chicago, New York, LA,
yes, sir,
you know, everywhere. They all had a connection to him and still do. But we have a work and a responsibility to do as believers.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, we all have a work and responsibility. So to much is given, much is required. And that work, you gotta put that work in.
Yes, sir.
Faith without works is dead. And I'm talking to myself too.
Yes, sir.
You gotta come up from that sycamore tree and start doing our work.
Yes, sir.
So yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. And thank you all for watching. Sister Anita says, youth and wisdom for you, sir. My sister Miriam says, thank you for your dedication to the minister and the nation. You spoke of speaking with Mother Farrakhan. What was it? Was the energy the same with her this last trip, or was that different as well?
I didn't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. We was in a restaurant one time. It was me and her, Sister Donna, and I talked about the circumstances of my birth, and to this day I don't have no relation with my mother at all whatsoever. And then Mother Farrakhan said, "But I'm your mother." So she's been a mother to me ever since I've known her. I've known her for now 11 years.
Allahu Akbar.
So we have an instant connection, you know. And the minister thanked me for taking care of mine. You know, the way I take care of her.
Yes, sir.
But she's God always compensates when you avoided something without having love. God always compensates. And she was that compensation. You know, I don't talk with her every day. I know my mother-son relationship is, but we're connected by the spirit.
Praise be to Allah.
She's my spiritual mother.
Allahu Akbar. That's beautiful. Our brother Sean M. Williams says he's bear witness to this brother just in the past 4 years since he's been here, since he's been there in Phoenix. He has had a different air about it, and there are signs of it that he thanks Allah to be a part of. Sister Zuhira says, truly, absolutely, Brother Rudy. Trust, absolutely, Brother Rudy. I thank Allah that he blesses you to see this divine man as the Jesus in this day and time that Jesus is walking now. And Sister Miriam says, all praises due to Allah. That's beautiful as well. Okay, so Brother Rudy, has the Most High Messiah Parkin ever given you advice on marriage and love and, fatherhood and things like that?
It's funny you mentioned that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My wife and I was in Detroit, of course. The Monday night I was in my bed and I thought about just giving the minister the greetings.
Mm.
I didn't want to talk about this, but I'll talk about it anyway.
Yes, sir.
My wife would probably kill me, but but I think it pertains to what we're talking about. I called the secretary of protocol to ask us to greet him before we left.
Yes, sir.
And I was given the time, 9:45. And I went there. Finally, when I greeted him, the minister greeted us. We knelt down in front of him. He held my wife's hand and he held my hand. And he talked about spirit and a connection to each other and marriage. And I was so nervous, I didn't know what he was saying. So I talked to Brother Sultan. He said, basically, the minister blessed our marriage. And my wife, in her mind, wanted him to bless our marriage, and he did it.
Praise be
but
to God.
Marriage is a struggle. You know, it's just two people who see the same thing differently coming together is not an easy thing. So you have to have compromise, and you have to listen to truth.
Yes,
it's
sir.
hard
Yes,
at times. It's hard at times, but you have to. My wife is of Mexican descent. She's not a believer. I mean, Indonesian rather.
Yes, sir.
But I believe she's a believer at heart.
Praise be to God.
Different culture, so it's a lot. It's a lot. So he blessed that part of the marriage. So it's just I'm learning a lot through my marriage. It's a learning experience. This is my second marriage, and I'm learning a lot. I learned a lot from my first marriage. Learning a lot from this marriage too. And you learn a lot about yourself. You know, the eye beholds everything but itself sometimes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when your other spouse tell you truths about yourself.
Yeah.
And in the back of your father did a little marriage thing, man. I saw the video of your parents.
Praise be to God. Yes, sir.
Brother, that was so informative and breathtaking. I heard that, brother. I learned a lot from that too. And your father said it right. In terms of courtship and marriage and relationships, he's spot on it. He's spot on. Give the greetings to your father too.
Oh yes, sir. I'll be sure to do so. Rudy, I have another question I wanted to ask you.
Yes, sir.
When the Most High Min Farrakhan is arrested and he departs, however it happens, and he escapes, and we can no longer see him physically at that time. What do you want your function to be? Like, what do you want to do when the minister is no longer here? Physically.
First thing I want to do is remain faithful to him. And to have sanity of spirit, to have my faith in Allah and him and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and also to spread his word through my testimony of him. And he's instructed us what to do and also stay together. I don't know how it's going to happen. All the things that's going to happen. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out. But I pray Allah that I remain faithful, more faithful, until he comes back. And I don't want to be on the wrong side when he comes back, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I want to be on the right side. Because when he comes back, he's killing his enemies. I mean, everything I've said, he said it publicly.
Allahu Akbar.
Everything I've said, he said it publicly. So it's nothing new.
Yes, sir.
So he's grown to this moment. Like he said at that lecture, on this man I've laid the key.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he's fit for this purpose. He's born for this purpose. That crucifixion, that's gonna be a signature. Because the whole world will know him through this crucifixion process.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And us as believers, we shouldn't worry. Because it's not his trial, it's ours. He's gonna be fine.
Allahu Akbar.
He's about to see his father.
Yes,
brother, like I said, he has to depart. Don't you want to see him heal from all the ailments that he have right now?
Yes, sir.
Don't you want to see him heal from all of that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He has suffered among us.
That's right.
tremendously. And he's about to see his father.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm happy for him. You know, I don't naturally, you know, he's my father. I don't, you know, of course you don't want to see a father go, but
yes, sir.
These are different set of circumstances.
That's right. That's right.
He's not gonna die.
That's right.
He's not gonna die. It's like he said one time, it's like he's going to the grocery store and he's coming back with some goods.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the reason why I believe prior to 75, the minister said they lost a nation because they lost their faith.
That's right.
So we have to have the faith in them. He's earned that. He's earned our trust. He's earned our love. He's earned our faith in him. He's earned that. And then some.
That's right. Praise be to Allah. Brother Vincent says, Brother Rudy, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Rudy. May Allah bless you. Continue to bless you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Brother Rudy. Thank you, Brother Vincent. And my sisters both say all praise be to Allah. Absolutely. And yes, sir. Brother Rudy, I just want to thank you on this Sunday afternoon. I feel personally that this interview not only helped many people who watch it now, Facebook, and I put it on YouTube, but me, because to see the mosque not being open right now and everything was a webcast today, it was just like a new kind of feeling on a Sunday afternoon, and to hear you testify like, man, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Yeah. Allah's in control. Yeah. That's beautiful. We need that.
Yeah, because he's you know, the scripture said it pleased the Lord to bruise him.
Yes,
why?
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
because
sir.
He is that, you know, he said he's born for this purpose. He's born for this purpose. This crucifixion, we shouldn't get all bent out of shape over it. No.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna be more fine than what we think. Trust me, we're gonna be okay.
Praise be to Allah.
As long as we keep our faith and focus on him. We gotta focus on him. The word that he represents. He's given us so much, man.
Yes, sir.
Look at it. Look at the word that he represents. We got to keep the gap. We got to close that gap. Close that gap.
Yes, sir.
And every believer should read Closing the Gap.
That's right.
Especially during that time period. Read that book because it deals with his heart, his mind, and his spirit. You know, I can't emphasize it enough. We're gonna be fine, brother. We're gonna be okay.
Praise be to Allah.
We're gonna be okay. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a little chaotic. It's gonna be okay. But we just gotta keep focused. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be pretty. But in the long run, we're going to be okay. Because the God, in the situation that we're in right now, the God is all in it.
Yes, sir.
He's all in it. And the minister's been born 25,000 years ahead of time, in advance.
That's right. That's right.
There's not another man like him.
That's right.
And there will be another man like him.
That's right.
He has a unique heart, a unique spirit.
Yes, sir.
What's the evidence? Look at the Million Man March. And look at the multitudes that he brought.
Yes, sir.
Time and time and time. And see, we have to reflect on him. And all that the minister put in us, it won't come out until he departs. That's why he says it's expedient for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Expedient for you that I go away.
Yes, sir.
Because he has to go away, so we have to do what we have to do is establish him. Look at all the apostles. I was just finished reading a book called The 12 Ordinary Men by John MacArthur. And it dealt with the disciples. And brother, I just thought about the believers. We are fulfilling scripture right now. The disciples are just 12 men.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They're a body of people which represents us.
Allahu Akbar.
Every believer that you interview and the believers out there, they're listening. You are handpicked by the Lord of creation.
Allahu Akbar.
To help this man. Something in your DNA connects with people and connects with him to establish. Look at the word. Look at the lessons. 4,400,000,000 men all over the planet Earth, and we've been picked to be in a vanguard position.
Yes, sir.
50,000 laborers to help him raise the dead. We're part of that number.
That's right.
I pray Allah that I am that number when he leaves and when he comes back.
Allahu Akbar.
Any questions from your audience?
Oh yes, sir. Well, I got some statements from the audience, not the questions. Brother Janelle says, "Great interview. All praise to Allah. Thank you both for the substance." Brother Philip Muhammad says, "All praise to Allah." Like Brother Rudy Muhammad, I'm married to a sister of Mexican descent, and she's not a registered MGT. However, I believe she is an MGT at heart. Praise to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Well, Brother Josh, keep up the good work, my brother.
And thank you, Brother Rudy.
And what you're doing, brother, is going to really be known throughout the world soon, brother.
Praise be to Allah.
And when the history is told, and when everything's all said and done, and when the world, Allah's kingdom is established, these interviews are going to play a part in it too, because it talks about different people from different walks of life, different believers. We all have one man in common, and that's the Honorable Minister Min Farrakhan.
Praise be to Allah.
He has transformed all of our lives.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did it to him as a result. So thank you, Brother Josh.
And thank you, Rudy. And Brother Rudy, thank you for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family. And Brother Rudy, please keep your spirit up, because in the dark hour we gotta have a part 3, a part 4, and a part 5. So you come back and keep everybody's spirit up.
We all see my spirit is because of him. It's his spirit, and we all have to attain his spirit, which is the spirit of God.
That's right.
So, like I said, we've been handpicked. We can't think low of ourselves.
That's right.
We got to think great of ourselves too.
Yes, sir.
And there's a balance. We can't be arrogant either. Now we got to we have to have a good self-image of ourselves.
Yes, sir.
And we are that. We've been taught that.
Praise be to Allah. All right, and thank you all for watching. And assalamu alaikum, Rudy.
Love you, man.
Love you more, Rudy.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.